Hello, I'm Alan Byrne, reporting from the Wiltshire Voices launch of the Carers film at the Trowbridge Rugby Club. I'm standing beside one of the stars of the film, actually, I should say, Meg, a carer in Wiltshire. I just want to ask your thoughts on the film itself, the message behind it, and just your general opinions of where we go next with this issue.
Right. I think one of the main things about watching this film was to raise awareness of the number of carers and the variety of care that people are trying to cover. I think a lot of people probably aren't aware of the breadth of carers. And also I think what was very interesting in talking to the other carers afterwards was that they said, we're all saying the same thing, aren't we? Now, they were unaware that they would be saying the same thing as other people because we were all interviewed separately. But I think some very clear messages came across. I think the loneliness, the feeling that there isn't the support there, the feeling that you can't quite get all the information at one time when you have it bit by bit. I think all those things came across very strongly, and I think the incessant nature of it, that it was always there, it was always continuous, it's difficult to put down. And at least two of us said, we're trying to find out who we are. And it's that support, I think, for carers, that feeling that underneath you there is almost an empty pit. And how do you fill that gap? How do you give people emotional support as well as practical support? And I think the message really is, what do carers really need? I think there is a great deal out there, but very often if you ask for help, somebody will say, well, you could go here, you could go there, you could do this as a ladies' lunch. And they don't actually say, well, how are you feeling? What do you need? I mean, sometimes it's not easy for somebody who's alone to go into an already formed group of ladies if they've never been in a group before. It may not be what that person needs. So I think it's the individualisation of the care, having enough resource to try to make a varied things for people to access, and to think also of things that you can do with the person you're caring for as well as alone. And I think those messages really came across quite clearly in the film, and I think that's why it's so incredibly valuable.
That was fantastic. Thank you very much for that input. Very valuable. I'll now move on to Sue Crisfield, Service Development Manager for Carer Support Wiltshire. I got that right, not tongue-tied. Why is it important then for carers to be highlighted in the Wiltshire area? We've seen the film. Obviously, we've had Meg as the star mention certain aspects of the film that needed to be shown. But why is it important that carers are highlighted in the Wiltshire area?
Well, I think not just the Wiltshire area, but nationally, actually, that, carers are the sort of hidden army of people that are propping up the health service and social care, And basically, there are an awful lot of carers. Like we were saying, we're only in touch with about 8,000 in Wiltshire, and we know that there's 47,000. So, we need to get the message across to the others that actually there is support there. They're not on their own, and they can access all sorts of advice and support and help. Of a whole variety of things, and they can also get support from each other.
I mean, with that in mind then, what are the next steps, particularly for Carer Support Wiltshire? What do you want to do next after this film's now been shown? But what are your steps next?
Well, strategically, we're trying to kind of reorganise a little bit, because there's a huge agenda, this community transformation agenda that's coming up. Well, it's already in place, which is to do with the health and social care services integrating, and it's all about keeping people in their own homes as much as possible. So not having huge admissions to hospital, but enabling people to look after themselves at home, take better care of themselves, but also not spend as long in hospital. But that has a massive impact on carers, and they are going to be that this whole community transformation is going to rely on the fact that carers are able and willing to take on greater caring roles, and that's really going to be a huge challenge for all of us. We need to make sure that if that is going to happen, that the carers do get even more support and advice and help in their own homes to do that. And actually, if they're working carers, then that's not going to be easy, because a lot of carers do give up work, or they go down to part-time hours in order to care. So, there's a huge repercussion in that, and we're trying to sort of address that at the moment as an organisation.
this film hopefully then is the catalyst for the busy few years ahead for you as well as the business. But I just want to quickly say one more thing to you, Meg. You did mention Sue's input with the film. Can you just say a few words about that for me?
I think I really did want to thank her, because the amount of work that goes into this kind of thing is very often unseen. There were lots of different people in all kinds of different places. There was a photographer coming up from London. There were question sheets to be sent out so people had an idea what they were doing. Sue came along with them. She supported us emotionally and practically. She stayed for mornings on end with people right through to the end of the filming. And I just think she was such a stalwart member. You felt you could rely upon her. She was there. She was supporting you. And I think that was the main feeling that came across. There was somebody there who cared, and that was the most important thing.
Oh, lovely words. Thank you very much, Megan. Well done to both of you. And yes, hopefully this will be the start of something major for Carer Support Wiltshire. Okay.